webinar. I know it's been a while since we last had a session, but lots of things have been happening. We had a healthcare webinar, and I think now is a good moment, good kind of catch up again right before Qonnections, just as we have lots of interesting things to share and news. So today on the call, I have also Michael. As you may know or seen on the news, we have had some very tremendous news with Vizlib. So we got the Clamber extension packages on board, all of these things that, you know, I would like to I will talk to you about today. So I would say let's just get going because there's a lot of topics to cover. Just as an FYI, there is a possibility to ask questions. We have a team who is on the panel who are answering those questions live and in written form. And at the end of the session, we will have a Q&A. We'll pick the best questions and answer them within the wider group. So yeah, keep firing, and I very much look forward to what there is to ask. So getting started. I'd like to introduce the agenda today. So it's very similar to any other webinar that we're doing. So of course, I would like to share some Vizlib news, some general things, then go through you and show you some of the latest features and capabilities that we have introduced. Of course, we've done a lot of things, but some of them stand out, and I'd like to share them with you just so you're aware of them and potentially like implement them in your projects. Of course, today we're going to use the opportunity to have Michael present the Clamber packages to you. I'm sure lots of you are aware of them, but it's always good to hear them directly from the creator. So I got him on the call, and he's ready to show you the power of those packages and how they can help you accelerate your adoption. And of course, what's next on the roadmap, and that's where we're going to cover collaboration and of course the Q&A at the end. So getting started, Vizlib news. So foremost, as always, we are growing. We have had, we're very fortunate to have added 2 new developers to the team in Poland. So Adrian Pieszak and Bartosz Drag, so both experience actually with ClickSense. So just to kind of show you that we're still investing heavily in our development team, and that stays and remains at our core focus of Vizlib. Of course, at the same time, we're also very delighted to introduce Asia from Craft to the team. She's a partner channel manager who joined end of February, beginning of March, and she is, for those of you who are partners who have been speaking to us, trying to position Vizlib with your customers, trying to implement Vizlib within your customer base. Asia has effectively been brought on to the team to become your contact person to enable you, to help you with trial licenses, with conversations, but most of the time, of course, to make sure that you have everything that you need from Vizlib side. And if there's, of course, anything else that we can do to improve, she'll be the person for you to talk to. And I think she's already made her rounds, called everybody up, and introduced herself. So very excited. She's, by the way, ex-Click, has worked 5 years with Click before joining us. So she's very well known in the community and a great addition to the team. Right, so aside from individual new joiners that we had within Vizlib Poland and the UK, very exciting news is also the Qonnections sponsorship, right? So those of you who are not aware, we are a Ruby sponsor, which is, I think, the highest level of sponsorship at Qonnections. Means, we have a big booth, we have about 3 screens, we're sending about 10 people are going to be on site this year. And of course, you'll see some of our amazing videos and extensions at the general session. So that's actually a very exciting step for us, considering that last year we had just had a small, exhibition kiosk. We're very proud to be there and sponsor this very great event with those capabilities, with a team. As a tiny highlight, of course, come speak to us. But one thing that I would like to emphasize is that we will, of course, also have some sessions, right? We kind of conveniently push them all to be on Wednesday because we want to educate you as much as possible, make you aware of them. But if you're coming to Qonnections, please do sign up. We have 3 sessions, one on visual finance presented by Michael and how to create compelling P&L reports in ClickSense. a customer panel discussion, right? Where we'll have some of our year-long Vizlib customers discussing, getting questions and answering also questions from the crowd about, their hardships and lessons won from adopting Qonnections. And by the way, we're still looking for 1 or 2 new customers. So if you're within the crowd here at the webinar, please ping us. We'd love to invite you and have you there on the panel. And of course, a general session by me. For those of you who are entirely new to Qonnections and extensions, it's a great presentation to get an idea of who we are, where we come from, and where we're going. So with this, very delighted to share the biggest part of the news today, which is, ta-da! Vizlib acquired the Climber Extensions team, product and team. So at this stage, a very warm welcome to the Climber Extensions team and the new office in Stockholm that we have as part of that. Of course, also welcome to the wider Climber consulting team across Europe. We're very excited about this. Lots of you probably have already known or evaluated Climber Extensions, and they have been one of the other part of in the market who have focused themselves on offering extensions as a product, as an enabler, as ultimately a toolkit that helps you guys get more value out of Qonnections with new functionality, capabilities, and even more so, right? So very predominantly, the custom report is one of the strongest extensions, the financial P&L as well. Michael will showcase them to you as well. But our key point here was we just to kind of give you a little bit of the background where we came from and why we did this move. Essentially, is that we have been speaking with the team, and we have, of course, been looking at those extensions. And very often customers came to us and said, can you do this that the customer report does, or can you do that that's available in that package? And the more we looked at it, it kind of course we could, but it kind of would deviate a little bit from Vizlib's unique value proposition or selling point, which was focused around a lot of customization, a lot of pixel perfect guided, branded, dashboarding. Climber extensions were more around self-service and, of course, the vertical, in this case, the P&L reporting. So that was a little bit deviating in the sense that it wouldn't really fit in what the Vizlib library package is. So we kind of saw more and more that Climber extensions works very well as an addition or complement to the Vizlib library package. So as a matter of fact, we have lots of customers who have bought and are using both packages very successfully. So with a lot of discussions, and we met the team, and also we spoke to a lot of our key customers as well as part of this initiative, we kind of established, going forward, by putting everything together under one umbrella, we kind of will have, the possibility to, first of all, offer that one-stop shopping experience for customers, that you have to deal with only one supplier, one support system, one support contact, but also makes the whole invoicing and onboarding piece much easier. And there's, of course, a lot of value in a sense of, we're now sharing knowledge. The development team of Climber Extensions, the Vizlib team is now investing in new features and capabilities in the Climber packages, and that, there's a lot of cross, knowledge transfer in that sense that will ultimately benefit the customers. But also, coming back to, what's the difference? How do they all fit together? And we kind of, created a little bit of a mock-up where we think things are going and where we want, to ultimately provide the best-in-class service to our customers. So as you see, the Vizlib library has always been focused more on the guided analytics aspects, right? Click view to Qonnections migration, very strict visual requirements. Whereas Climber extensions was more around the exploration aspect, pick and match dimensions, measures, data literacy, a key topic in the whole Qlik community that the custom report or the simple KPI, the KPI extension help and ultimately propel. So these are different use cases, and an organization, a big organization, typically has both. But when people are starting, they either have one use case, they want to use Qonnections for more self-service. That's where the Climber extensions packages have always been much more powerful. People who want to migrate from QlikView to Qonnections, that has always been Vizlib library. But then, in a bigger deployment, there's always, use cases for both of them. So we actually have customers today who are using both packages. So the idea is to kind of move into that area where both of them are needed for you guys, as we call it, foundational packages. And then on top of that, as we move forward now today and in the next 12 months, we will not only enrich the existing packages, but we will introduce more and more what we call the value-added packages in that sense. So for example, the finance P&L, which is very useful for a very small amount of user bases. Of course, collaboration, something that I'll showcase to you today, and we're very excited about this. And then many more, such as, for example, also the sheet menu, which will become its own package in the near future, and any other new innovations that we will embark as a collective team. FYI, sheet menu will always be included for existing customers, so you don't have to worry about anything. So, you see effectively this becomes a whole journey that, together under one brand, one team, and one kind of effectively experience for the customer will benefit everybody in the ecosystem who's using Qonnections to become a more data-driven organization. So that's what we saw, and that's already starting to fruit. We see a lot of interest from Vizlib customers and the other way around, and I think we'll find out very well how that has been received at Qonnections, and we're very excited a bit. The feedback has been very, very positive. And if you look now at our current product offering, you see, there's a big volume of what we already have and what problems we solve, from tables to P&L to custom to self-service. So at this stage, we will have a tiny demo now, but please reach out to us if you want to trial the new packages, and if you want to subscribe to them. We're here, and we're happy to hear as well from you where your interest is. So these are exciting news. Before we, however, move into the juicy part of the Climate extension packages, I want to quickly do a small jump into what's new at Vizlib, the Vizlib library package in this case. So starting from I think one of the most interesting and most used extensions out there is the Vizlib Pivot Table. So as a promise, as always, we don't stop. We continuously improve ourselves, and we bring new innovation and ideas into our existing extension offering. In particular, the Pivot Table, because it's one of the most used ones. So what we've done here is a couple of interesting things. So first of all, significant performance improvements, right? So hands down, I understand, the more users you have and more extensions or visuals you have on the dashboard, performance gets impacted. And I think on the pivot table, we were not doing a good job. So we have effectively redeveloped parts of it, and we actually did some internal tests. And from version 2.0 now, that was released about 3 weeks ago, we have about 30% performance improvement. So we heard you, we found the issue, we corrected this. This is now just as fast as Qonnections, right? And I encourage you to test it, and if it's not, please reach out to me. I'll personally look at after those tickets. Having said that, of course, it's not just that, but also a new pivot table wizard that I'll showcase to you now. So I'll move over to Qonnections directly. So, and a little bit the reason of why we did this or where we were coming from, right? So if I come here in the custom objects, let's say, let's take the pivot table here, and I wanted to create a quick table based on the data set I've just loaded. So I can add here, product group, and then add, a measure, and then you had to add one by one measure after the other. And that was a little bit, tedious, confusing, especially when you want to have a quick glance of your data set. So what we've done here is we changed the experience a little bit by introducing the Vizlib Pivot Table wizard. So now you don't add dimension or measure. You just are prompted to click on a wizard, which if you click on this, it opens up a list of all available master dimension, master measures, and all dimensions and fields that you have in your data model. As a matter of fact, you see all the tables that have been loaded here. You can easily filter down and see all fields that are associated with the inventory balance. As a matter of fact, you can now, of course, come in here and very easily start adding rows, start adding regions, sales reps, and of course, multiple metrics at once in one click. right? And that is a little bit the power of this. And you can also choose fields and then put them into the rows. You can, of course, also search for your data model, right? So in case you're looking for all fields associated with product, here they are. Very user-friendly, intuitive, and that allows you to create, boom, a pivot table on the fly with just a few clicks, right? And then both you can continue doing either your analysis or exploration of your data set. Yeah, very powerful feature, has already been very well received. For those of you who haven't updated, make sure you're using Pivot Table version 2 and later. And then, yeah, good use, make use of it. We encourage you for that. So going further, it's also been a lot of work on the sheet menu. So just a background to this, we released this back in December as an alternative to mashups. Rather than building mashups, perhaps you can bring the world and the experience of mashups into Qonnections. And the goal here is to create a branded dashboard, but also simplify the navigation between your apps and within your sheet, right? So first of all, we've done a lot of stability improvement. It was very well received. I mean, that was an extension that went to production with some of our customers in the shortest amount of time. So, that was an incredible thing. But of course, as it is with typically new extensions, that really is, we see so many various use cases. So we've done a lot of improvements on the stability, but also mobile compatibility, right? Lots of you are using a mobile first strategy, meaning that you want your apps to be used on an iPad, on an iPhone, and the Vizlib Sheet Menu was actually a very good fit for this. So a quick mini introduction here into Vizlib Sheet Menu. So what it does in a sense is, perhaps if I show you here in native Qonnections, you have the relatively ugly bar at the top that you cannot modify. You have buttons you cannot hide. And if you navigate between sheets, you lose context. So what we've done is we've given you an extension which modifies the whole top panel. And it looks like a website that allows people to navigate between grouped sheets and have a much more intuitive and experience than typically out of the box. And you can brand it. So this is like a Commerzbank example that we've done. And very, very important is also that not just branding, but you also have a side menu here that helps, if you prefer having a burger menu rather than, a menu at the top, you can modify that one as well. And of course, you can choose versus various other colors. So, very intuitive, easy to use, and has been a great success and helps the adoption. But that's been the case so far. But what did we do beyond this? So first of all, mobile compatibility, right? So if I come in here and show you, first of all, this example, I think that's quite good. Focus here. Let's go back to the Commerzbank example here. All right, so let's say you're using this app on a mobile. So what you see here is on an iPhone X, that it automatically collapses, and you see here that the menu collapses, and you see the side menu here appearing. As a matter of fact, you can navigate between the sheets here at the top right, bottom right as well, just as if you were even with your finger. So full compatibility, and that's what makes this very, very interesting for this type of adoption. And of course, iPad Pro works very, very fine, and you don't have to worry at all. You can swipe with your fingers. You can use the menu here as well, and it's all fully, modifiable for your purposes. But also, what's kind of interesting, we introduced breadcrumbs, right? So breadcrumbs help you, especially when you're grouping sheets into different groups. So let's say you have sales, but you have advanced sales and you have regional sales, that people, as they're navigating in their apps, they can see exactly where they're currently located, right? So that's a nice feature that we've introduced for a sheet menu as a general thing, but it becomes interestingly very powerful also when you use it for mobile purposes, because then, oops, I need to go back to my analysis mode. You see here, for example, as you're navigating a mobile where I am, and you have the beautiful Vizlib KPI designer that is nicely resizing depending on your sheet and where you currently are. So mobile compatibility, very, very interesting topic, especially if you want to use Qonnections on a phone or even on a BlackBerry. So we're having some use cases that are getting started there. Very, very powerful feature, and your feedback is appreciated. Please start using this and let us know what you think. We're very eager to improve this even further. So that's about the sheet menu. Coming back to my presentation. What's coming more? Just so you see a little bit where head is going. Actions on app open, right? So when you open an app and you have a sheet menu, that you can apply some default selections only when you open the app for the first time. And another thing is document chaining, right? So you might have more than one app. Navigating from one app to the other should be seamless for your users and should carry over the selections as well, just as they would, and they don't even know that they're swapping apps behind the scenes. So that's something where we're going to. But yeah, one other thing is Vizlib Line Chart, and it's one of our oldest extensions, as a matter of fact. It has trend lines, annotations, many customization features, and one very important topic has always been we replicate existing functionality in Qonnections. So the mini chart option has been now introduced, and with this, I'll go directly in here. So perhaps to give you a context, this is here the native chart here at the top. You see there's a mini chart option here, and you can use this one here as well. This is a Vizlib chart at the bottom. Now, the thing that I always found, annoying has always been that this mini chart sometimes takes up space that you don't want to display. So with Vizlib, you have the ability to hide this or to show this, right? You have full control. You have also control how many data points you're showing. So you can change this actually what the default position is of the scroll. But the key element here is it's not just scrolling, it's also it's not just a mini chart here at the bottom that you can use. You can actually with your mouse scroll in and scroll out. You can't do that, just as a native chart here as well in that sense. So we've replicated that functionality, and it's particularly interesting if you use it in combination with our annotations, right? Which is like our data level commentary almost, but it's not commentary, it's a setting that allows you to, drill down and explain and almost create a narrative around your data set. So available now, and I think that with this, it has ticked off all the boxes from a native one, but of course, with more value add than the standard functionality out of the box. So that's a little bit, a bigger feature, and hopefully lots of you, and the reason why I'm sharing this is lots of you are using the line chart. We know how many of you are downloading it, so that's why I wanted to make sure that it's covered, so you're aware that this is now possible. So with this, also a tiny glance of where we're going is also predictions, right? So forecasting predictions. So when we're looking at line charts, we're talking about time series and trend lines. And we have a trend line. I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but if you go into the edit menu and you go into the underlying measure, let's say cost of sales, you have the ability to show a trend line here that is effectively a linear regression line. So nothing rocket science-y, but equally as valuable because it can be very simple, right? You don't have to, sometimes a very simple linear regression is enough for people, right? But we want to take this a little bit further. So we're going to add predictions and forecasting. This is a working progress example where we're literally taking a couple of intervals, and then based on the last, let's say 10 intervals, we're formulating and drawing the predictions. And very important, this is going to be relatively simple, but 100% client side. So no backend, no data science engine in the background. We'll keep this simple, right? And we kind of keep it at that level as well when we make sure that this is used in such way. But very interesting, very powerful, and yeah. So with this, finalizing a bit our updates, because we want to spend a good amount of time on the new Climber extension packages that we have introduced. So, with this, I have Michael on the call, who is the VP of pre-sales and enablement within Vizlib, and of course, has been the driver of Climber extensions, one of the driver of Climber extensions. So we're very excited to have him part of our team, and of course, him today to showcase us the new packs or some extensions, and I think he has some surprises that he wants to show us. So, handing over to you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you. So maybe we should do that little poll as well, right? Did you consider that, Martin? Should we?
Good idea. So perhaps while we prepare the screen share, so we have, as you know, a poll that is currently happening, which is asking you, have you ever heard of Climber? Are you using it? Is it all new to you? So give us an idea. Keep voting. I see already 25% have voted, and then we can kind of tailor a little bit the presentation around the audience. checking with you, Michael. Are you able to? Yeah, you're sharing your screen, so you can vote as well.
I should share my screen. Yeah, perfect. So I just need to see which screen I'm sharing as well. Let's see that we make that right.
So we can see the quick poll.
You can see the click poll. Interesting. That's good. It's not what I'm showing, but fine. That's good.
That's exciting. Almost 80% of people have voted. We're collecting responses. Let's give it another 5 seconds, and then we can show the results, which are actually very exciting. For you, Michael, FYI, at the top right, you will have show screen, and you can choose which screen you want to show.
Yeah, I know. It just doesn't work. So let's see if I can. So I'm.
Okay, I'm closing the poll now. And
perfect.
Sharing the results. Right, so people are using Climber. Not many access customers. Lots of you have seen a demo, but hey, it's actually quite surprising. Great, well, it's all new to you. So yeah, cool. Very, very interesting results. And yeah, with this, I'm handing over to Michael. So we're gonna hide the results and should now be able to share your screen.
Yeah, for some reason that doesn't really work. So let's see if I can, there we go. Now probably getting there. So let's see. But I need to share the other screen. So otherwise you're just gonna see us, which is not as much fun as seeing the extensions. So now you should be seeing right now just a Climber logo. Now you should be seeing something more exciting, hopefully. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to talk mostly about the custom report and the finance report. Obviously, with Climber, you have quite a few other extensions as well, and I'll quickly touch on a couple of those. There is more to it, but we have limited time, and these are the ones that I get most questions around. And to be honest, these are the ones that have been driving our subscriptions and most of the interest from the customers. So I'm going to talk about the custom report. I'm going to talk about the finance report, and I'm going to give you a quick overview. And with the custom report, since we have at least 30% Climber users, I'm going to assume that almost all of those have tried sort of the free version of, at least a free version of the custom report. And the idea behind the custom report was that we saw a lot of customers creating lots and lots of charts, and that was becoming very difficult to maintain, very expensive maintenance on many charts that were in fact very, very similar. They were almost the same chart, but just with minimal variations of those charts. So instead of doing that, customers started creating really big tables, and then they sent out those big tables to users and sort of let them play with that, and they would export it to Excel or they would make their own calculations. Also not a perfect solution, because it meant that they were getting kind of lost in how they were doing calculations, or they had two big tables and they weren't able to do that in Excel, and it just wasn't good. So we took the idea of having a big table, but then let the user adjust what they see. So the whole thing behind the custom report is just a simple, straight table where we put in a number of dimensions and measures, and then the user can select what dimensions and measures they want to see. So just by clicking inside the extension, they will change what's shown in the table. And in the first instance, that's still just a normal table. But now with the version that's released now, which you can download and trial, you can also get a pivot table. So you can go in, you change that, you get a pivot table. You're still using the same dimensions and measures, and you can still change things here. You can still add totals, and you can even change the sort order here. You can sort of manipulate the table any way you want. And it still works just like the normal pivot table. And the reason actually that it does that is that it is actually the normal pivot table. This also means that you should be getting very good performance from this, because we're getting the exact same performance as we are in the native pivot table. And that goes for the other visualizations in here as well, the straight table and the combo chart. So with the combo chart, we actually have a few more options. So we can actually change the different types of visualization that we see in the combo chart and change that to a line. We can even change, like, add data points. We can add the data bar labels. the idea here is to actually keep users inside QlikSense for just a little bit longer than they otherwise would. Otherwise, they would start exporting, they would start creating their own things. This can still be done without touching the edit button. That also means that you can actually do this without having any other license than just the analyzer license. So we're helping those users actually being able to do a little bit of editing, nothing fancy, nothing big, but still that little bit of changes that they might need to do just to be able to take this one step further. So that's the visual bits. So table, pivot table, combo chart, more things coming soon. We'll see. We'll show you more very soon. The next thing was that, okay, so that's all good. We get that. But then we get a lot of requests on, okay, so but I have this user and they really don't understand how to do this. They can't click. They don't understand. But Michael here, we can actually create a preset for him. So as a super user or developer, we can create presets that those users can access and get into. And then I can select my preset, and then I get straight to that pivot table that I so badly wanted. And from here, I can keep working with the data, and I can still change it. But I get a starting point that I'm familiar with that sort of feels at home for me. Now, of course, if the user is a little bit more advanced, or as they get more advanced, the whole idea of this is to get them more data literate, to get them more interested in the data. When they get more interested, they also want to be able to save this themselves. So even if you're not a developer, you can still save this setting. So if you save this table, or you can even have this straight table with these columns, and you might even have a certain column width somewhere. Then you can go in, you can go to bookmarks, and then we actually use the default bookmarks functionality inside QlikSense. So with that bookmark, you can save your own settings, your own bookmarks of reports that you tend to get back to very often, your own combination of dimensions and measures. You select that and you'll get that view that you personally would want to see more of. There is one more feature that I want to highlight, and it's been there in the free version as well, but it's hasn't been used a lot. And it's possibly because it's kind of an in-between case. It's those users that are a little bit more advanced, they know how to edit, but we won't allow them access to a particular app. So it might be a really big app, a complicated app with large data volumes, but we want users to be able to extract a little bit of data from that app. And of course you can do that. You can right click and you can export, and you can even right click and copy a cell value or a copy of the table, or you can export the image, PDF, and export the data to Excel. All fine and good, and that works. But you can also export data to a new app. So if I do this, what will happen is that now the table that I just selected, the dimensions and measures, based on the selections that I have, are actually exported to a completely new app. This application is created in my work for this user. So this does require a professional license if you have that type of license structure. And the interesting bit is that only the data that's exported gets here, but then the QlikSense Insights engine actually help you with ideas on what to create. So not only do we get the data out in a separate app, but we also get suggestions on how to visualize that data. And as you've probably seen with news from Qlik, this gets more and more complex and more innovative for every new version. So we'll expect more features in the Insights section when we get this data out. And this is a fully functional app. So this application now has all the data that we exported. We can add more data. We can work with this. We can change the layout. We can do whatever we want with the app, but it's only the data that they exported. So one of those hidden features that not many people know of, but it's extremely powerful for the right type of users. So that was the custom report. Now, custom report is really good for that self-service piece. Now, if we move over to a very specific use case, we have those users that really want to make financial reports. That has historically been quite difficult to do. In QlikView, it was possible, but it required a lot of programming, a lot of hacking, and especially if you wanted to make it look right, it was still quite difficult. And there were some things that were almost impossible to do. So the interesting thing is that we've been doing P&Ls for, I don't know, 15 years at least in Qlik. And we have a good structure for that. We have a structure that works, that we know that we can set up, that performs well, that works with large data volumes. And we took that structure and then we built an extension around it to solve a couple of things. One thing was to solve the actual visuals, and we'll take a look at that. The other thing was to actually solve the structure and the maintenance of this. So apart from what you see here on the screen today, the visual bit, we also have a standardized script, a standardized template, and a really quick way to get started when you want to build a P&L. It also works for balance sheets and cash flow reports, but P&L is a good starting point because most people will be able to read a P&L. So P&L, as you can see, it's a normal table. You can drill down, you can go down to different levels. You can even get down to a level where you can have a link. So if you want to link to a voucher, link to an invoice, you can still do that. So when the users come to a certain point, they might want to actually go to a certain system, and they can do that. It's also fully flexible. So with these dimensions now, as you probably saw here, we have account number. If you're a user that are more interested in projects, you can go in, you can change that account number to project name instead, and then you'll get project name at that level of the report. And that goes for all the dimensions. That also means that if we have this short version of the P&L and we want to see the long version, we just go in, we change that, and we get the long version of the P&L instead. Still using the same type of layout, same design, and the same structure to maintain, most importantly. We don't have to maintain lots and lots of different charts here. It's still the same one. And if we want to change that to company, which is only going to be one company here at top, then we can do that. So all of this is still very much possible. And we get the different format for percentages, we get the different colored backgrounds, we get the borders, we have these type of subtotals, not expandable. It's all there. It all works exactly like the finance person would expect, only it's actually dynamic. So they have the full dynamics of Qlik. And yes, before you ask, you can still export this to Excel. Still, we don't want you to, but we realize that you might still want to do that. So you can export to Excel. And when you do that, not only does it come out to Excel, but it comes out to Excel in a format that actually looks and feels exactly like it would in QlikSense. So nothing sort of ugly, just CSV export. It's actually proper export with the right numbers in the format that you specified, and it's still there. A couple of more things around this. So one thing is just the layout options. So there is more. We're trying to sort of push even the finance people into having some sort of visual things. We snuck in what we call data bars and indicators here. It's all there. So we can still do a little bit of visual aids in the chart as well. Even more interesting, we saw a lot of customers struggling with their monthly reporting. When they were doing monthly reporting, they would take their report, they would export it, they would typically have it in some sort of spreadsheet or a PowerPoint, and they would send that around. And they would send it out to all the stakeholders, everyone would comment, then they would send it back. And once they sent it back, someone would put together a report that had everyone's comments. Very sort of long way to go about things. So instead, what we did, we included the comments straight inside the table. So in the P&L table, we can actually add live comments. So as you can see here, there's a little 5 here. That means that someone's put 5 comments in here. And these are all my demo comments, so it's probably going to be a lot. But I can put another comment in here. So let's call this webinar comment. And live into that comes a comment. It pops up straight away. And there you go. There's the new webinar comment. And depending on my settings here, I can also edit, delete this comment. I can even set it to be possible to change until a certain month is closed. So when you're looking at financial reporting, you typically want to close a month. And when you close that month, then you can also close the commenting. So all the comments are locked to the previous months. The data is stored in a SQL database, so perfectly good performance with that. It's also secured, so it runs through the QlikSense security, so it's handled all through. So from a technical perspective, it's all handled through a backend service. It means that we can control the security. We can also control the access levels. So we can actually control who can comment and who gets access to comment. And we can do that through a hierarchy. So if you have a larger company with the different hierarchies of that company with the maybe regions or area managers, then they can comment on their different parts of the P&L, and then we can sum that up to the total level. So This is really interesting, and this actually also connects to a little bit to what Martin's going to show you at the end here around collaboration, where we've explored this even further and taken it one more step. So,
and I think, you know, when we looked at especially the finance report, which is a vertical specific case, you know, the commentary, organizing month end, the fact that everybody looks at the same single point of truth of data and the same refresh, it has been a tremendous value add for some of our customers, especially with finance functions. So, you know, this is completely changing the way finance reports are being generated for company, and we're also using that internally now at Vizlib as well for this purpose. So very, very exciting on this.
Yeah.
So cool. Thank you very much.
I think that sort of gives that. And you want to take over and do the collaboration? I can actually answer a couple of questions here straight away, though, since I already have them on the screen. So
cool.
Yes, there is a separate license. So just so you know, that's the different pack. And when you want to know more about that, feel free to contact us, and we'll help you out with how that works.
Okay, let me take over, and we'll do a more extensive Q&A at the end, because I think people have not yet asked all the questions. So thank you, Michael. And guys, if you want to see more about this, or you want to show this to other stakeholders, or a more in-depth discussion, please do reach out to us. Michael's more than happy to do another, you know, session with you in a more, and maybe perhaps even look at your data and, you know, have a conversation how the packages can help, you know, become a value add to what you're doing. So coming back to, just FYI, you know, you can see everything at vizlib.com Climber extensions. There's also a tiny link at the top, so this is how you can trial them. Actually, as of today, you can download them the same way you can download Vizlib and explore this functionality that was just showcased to you. So please do so. And, you know, for those of you, there's going to be a tiny panel on the user portal, so you can download the package just as you would do with the Vizlib library package. Now, to the future. So, speaking about the roadmap now, I think we're working on some really exciting stuff that we will showcase at Qonnections, and more after Qonnections, we will do a release around those products. So in a very kind of brief summaries, of course, we'll have Vizlib library updates, container version 2, where you can show more than one extension at a time. So that's going to be a quick glance. A hierarchical filter, and then, you know, a numerical chart. I think some of you have been asking about this. Custom presets. I'll showcase that to you now as well, but very important, a new entire product line called Vizlib Collaboration. So as you've seen just now at the commentary part, and that's where this whole stemmed from, you want to be able to have a conversation, have ultimately a challenge and a discussion directly where the data resides. And that's actually quite common. So if you look, for example, here, you know, this is what we use sometimes, Google Docs. You know, you can create, you know, what we do, we create marketing emails, and then everybody's commenting on them. And then, you know, we ultimately have a collaboration, what eventually leads to a final version of this. And that's quite common. It's common in Excel and many other technologies. So we thought, why not also in Qlik? Because you're having a conversation around data, and why by yourself? So what we've done is we have created something, and let me open it. It's called Collaboration, Vizlib Collaboration. So it's going to be an extension that is heavily based on the same write-back capabilities that the finance report has. As a matter of fact, we just took the write-back capabilities, the hierarchical, the security rules, the certificates, and everything around it that makes it enterprise ready, which is already being used in production environment. And we expanded it to have a conversation, not just on a data level on a table, but on any chart that you see on a dashboard. So with this, I introduced to you our very first version of Vizlib Collaboration. So expect yourself to see yourself in a dashboard like any other one, but you'll have two things that you will notice on my screen. One of it is a tiny little chat channel almost on the right part of the screen that you can either display at all times, you can hide it, you can have a tiny bubble that pops up. It's entirely up to you how you want to deploy this, and, you know, of course, format it and similar. And that is something that you can have a webinar discussion directly on the app. And all you need to do is add a comment, and voila, it's just being added there as a conversation trail. As a matter of fact, you also see here the time it was posted, and many more capabilities are coming soon. But it's not just that. You don't just want to converse on a whole panel. You want to provide a context. So actually, I can go back and say, look at this KPI, margin variation. You can click on this, and you can have a conversation directly on an object level. Margin variation, why is this so high? Put a comment there, and then ultimately maybe even notify or have a conversation with other people, and then discuss those numbers and metrics that you see here. And then on a different chart, you have different comments. And with this, ultimately have a more collaborative approach to Qonnections. And it's not just commentary, because what were you looking at? What selections did you have? So as a matter of fact, you can also tie a comment to a selection. So if you see here, for example, that was David, who made a multi-selection. That was 2 days ago. I can see here that there's a bookmark applied to this. So if I click this, I apply his selections that he was looking at. So I can contextualize the comments and drive them directly to the selection, the year, and perhaps even the states that he was commenting on. So with this, you have a context that you can preserve in that respect. And the beautiful thing is that creates behind the scenes bookmarks, right, in Qonnections. And in order to facilitate that collaboration, we have created, which is unique in the market, the concept of shareable bookmarks. So I can create a bookmark on the fly and somebody else can see it right away, and without any other addition or tricks in that perspective. As a matter of fact, you don't just create the bookmarks that you can apply very nicely here directly from the commentary section, right? You can also go here and say, copy a shareable link. So let's say I want to say to Michael, you're not on the dashboard, but can you please have a look at what David is saying? So I can copy here that link, and I can open a new app. And you see here, if you can notice that it's tied to a bookmark. So if I open this, Michael goes in, has a look at that link that you've just shared him via email. It applies his selections that David has been commenting on. So ultimately, really on an object level, data level, commentary collaboration. And it's not just that, of course, we're thinking beyond this. So we're looking at, for example, also notifications, right? Michael is not on the app. Can we send him an email somehow? And of course you can. You can come in here and you can say, Michael, please have a look. I don't get this. You can add it as a comment, right? But also you can go and send an email, right? And say, look, in this case, I'll just add myself just so you see that the email is reserved. And perhaps I'm going to do this actually on a chart level. It's much more better, because when you do this on a chart level, right, you can also send the context via email. So here I'm getting martin@vizlib.com. I'm adding this, right? And I'm attaching the data of that particular chart and an image. If you click on this, it basically goes behind the scenes and it opens up, takes a screenshot of the data, and then sends you also a copy of the data set, and then invites you to collaborate directly on what has been. So here we see the daily sales, the one that I've been looking at. We also see the underlying data, right? And that can be a table, that can be anything beyond that. And, currently this is a template, but of course it will have in the near future a button that you can click on that'll take you directly where that notification came from, right? So think of a use case. A board member asks, can you explain that number to me? And then Martin receives an email, goes in, sends an answer, and the board member sees notified on his phone, my answer is resolved. Please have a look at it now. Fantastic thing. And of course, we will have Slack integration, team integration, some sort of alerting, notification, and many more formatting options, right? So you can either have this as a whole channel mode where you can discuss on the sheet, on the app, you can discuss on object level, or you can just hide the channel mode and have only object level commentary, right? So, and eventually more and more different ways on how you want to collaborate. And the way this works, as it always will with Vizlib, plug and play, drag and drop, and you should be going. So, and the good news around this is not new territory for us. As we said, this is effectively a derivative work of the Finance Report Plus. So this works in enterprises. This has section access security. This works with clicks and certificates to preserve ultimately the integrity of the data level security as well, and ultimately scalable. So we're very excited about this. I think this is going to make an impact. Personally, we're using this internally for our analytics app, and we have already started seeing a lot of value in this. And we can't wait to show this to you in a more progressed form at Qonnections, and once we release it after Qonnections for plug and play for you guys to explore this. So get excited. I think this is a new way to analyze your data, not alone, but in collaboration with others. So that's a new feature, exciting, really brief, because I want to leave some room for questions. It's also the Vizlib Container version 2 that we're going to release. So the big difference are the Container 1 and 2 is effectively, instead of adding individual extensions one by one as you're used to, you'll have the ability to choose a grid mode. And the grid mode preserves you a layout. So you can decide, let's say I want to use the default grid mode here. Oops, perhaps I broke it already, but let's add here a container object. Let's make it a grid mode. And you see here the layout has been defined with one top layer and one on the left and one on the right. So now you can actually, using that layout, you can add, let's choose the default layout. You can add a top item, which could be, typically it's a filter pane, right? So you can put your filters. Then you can have on the left pane like a scatter chart if you want to, and on the right-hand side you can have a table. And then ultimately you can keep adding it to your container more items. So you can say here I want a single view, right? And then you can add, let's say, a pivot table as you were used to. So people can actually flick between a single container view to a multi-container view, and with ultimately contextualizing the whole dashboard experience view. Very exciting, and this will be released soon. I think in the next 3-4 weeks we'll be there ready, and then I see a lot of use cases because you have been asking for this a lot. Last item is presets, right? So you guys know presets from the Vizlib KPI object. So if I take KPI object here on the fly, you will see that you will have the ability to either create it from scratch or select one of the available presets. Now, at the moment, these are fixed. You'll be able to create your own presets, your personal presets, or your company presets effectively that allow you to keep a consistent brand within your organization. Something like theming, but much more advanced, because you can make it much more user-friendly in that perspective for any app effectively. So just to show you, this is currently a work in progress of presets on the Vizlib table. Same will also be applied on the pivot table. So this customization capability is a key topic for us, because ultimately you don't want to go through and start creating your pivot table every time from scratch. You want to have a branded look that is then consistently applied. So these are exciting things that we're working on, and at Qonnections, happy to show them to you in person, in live, especially collaboration. We'll have a couple of extra features, and with the addition of Climber extensions, we're much more powerful. We have a lot of more resources, and this is going and ultimately to the benefit of the whole Qlik ecosystem. So we're very excited. It's a lot of fun to be doing these things because, having been a Qlik consultant myself, it's now a tremendous freedom to be able to shape the product in a way that I would have loved to have used it by myself. So with this, we're concluding today's webinar, and we're going over to Q&A. So we're going to look at some of the questions that you guys have been asking, and I will look at them and hopefully answer some of them in collective. So first feedback, fantastic. Thank you very much on the feedback on the collaboration. It's very, very exciting. Really get your hands on this, and I really want to see your feedback. So as always, Vizlib gets stuff out, gathers feedback, and then iterates quickly. Agility is our key value proposition here as a team, and we're very, very excited to have this deployed. One other question is around the Climber packages. Now, of course, as I highlighted earlier, Climber extension have always been a separate package. So in that sense, you currently if you're a Vizlib customer, you will have a Vizlib library license, and nothing changes to that. That's as it is. New extensions of Vizlib library will be included for free. But ultimately, if you want Climber extensions, you'll have to get additional license. But please contact us as soon as possible. We're running currently promotional discount bundles, and I think some of them will be very, very attractive for you, especially as you're currently onboarding. So what new features are coming from Climber extensions? That's a very good question. A lot of Vizlib kind of features are finding themselves back into Climber extensions now. So for example, the custom report, you'll be able to customize it, theme it a little bit. You can add some colors on this, and then also use presets. So all these kind of things are envisioned to be added there. And yeah, and I think that's it in the very short term. A very interesting question is, of course, collaboration, right? And if I come back to the commentary part, what's involved in this? And the Vizlib collaboration will require a backend, right? So you will store the data on ultimately a database. So typically, if you're an enterprise deployment, you will have your own database that's hosted internally. We will help with implementation and the setup. Ultimately, the goal has always been the data in a collaboration aspect needs to reside outside of the app, and it needs to reside within your premises. So there's going to be one-off installation, and we also have effectively, perhaps I can showcase it to you. No, we don't have it. We will have a different VMC, Vizlib Management Console, that will help you manage that efficiently at an enterprise level. We will, however, also have a cloud version, which is more for smaller deployments, 10, 20 users. That's literally going to be plug and play, effectively, automatically generated. So another very interesting question is, when is the next release of Climber extensions? So we're currently working on this. I'm not sure if you guys have been using this or exploring this, but April has introduced some interesting releases, and we will release a compatibility release in the next 10 days, within the next 10 days, I presume, actually even earlier. So just to give us some background to this, so currently we have some issues with a right click on all our extensions, both Climber and Vizlib independently. When we received the test version of Click very short, like 2 days before we officially released it, for various reasons, which I will not discuss here. But we're working on this, and so please do not upgrade to April just yet. Wait for our announcement, and then yeah, we'll invite you to include this. So yeah, any more questions? Michael, do you want to answer any? I mean, you have the overview there, more than we can handle in this call, but we are answering them one by one.
Yeah, I mean, I've answered a few of them there in text as well. And of course, to add to this whole thing about what's coming in the Climber extensions, we obviously, not just the custom report are getting more features. We'll soon see more features sneaking into the P&L as well in terms of the visual bits. And we're of course borrowing some of that from the Vizlib one, so, and the other way around. So that's definitely happening. That's one of the reasons that we wanted to join forces with Vizlib to begin with. And of course, the easier updates and things like that is also coming from the Vizlib bit, so that's also being added. So much more like that. We do get quite a lot of questions on imprinting and imprinting support. So I answered a couple of those in the list there, and yeah, we're trying to support imprinting best as we can, and especially where it makes good sense to support imprinting. So it might be that we don't put a lot of effort into supporting imprinting for the selection bar, which is not really that much to print, but we're trying to support it as much as possible for things like P&L, where we know many people will want to print it. So that might be worth sort of, yeah, we're having focus on that, and we're trying to convince Click to add even better support for imprinting, where we want to add our own third-party imprinting extensions as well, to be able to do that even better. So more coming there, I guess.
Okay, one interesting question, by the way, just so you see what's happening here behind the scene collaboration. So we have something that we call the Vizlib Management Console. So you see here, that's the integration. We have a database, we have an email integration. So that'll become more like a Vizlib kind of manager or integration, where you can manage more than just collaboration, but almost all extensions as well. So see what is new, where you have to download the new version. So this is something that we're working on. It's currently available here for our own purposes for collaboration, but that will become a bigger thing, and that will allow you to manage the whole integration and collaboration piece in a very handy and professional way, enterprise ready as always, on offline mode within your premises. One question, and I think that's a very valid point, is around the user portal. So yes, it is very static, it is stale, and I agree. And so coming back to this, currently this is the user portal and you have the Vizlib library. We'll definitely make changes very soon because we need to integrate the new packages, we need to integrate the new options, make it a little bit nicer. Of course, when it comes to enablement, I'm not sure if you guys have been aware of this. If not, that's our omission and we need to change this a little bit more or make you guys more aware of this. But we have been investing in our so-called community. And we need to organize a bit better, but the idea here is if you look for, you can search very easily. Let's say I want to say access settings. You can index and go through all our Vizlib documentation, but also new feature releases that have been added. So if you come in here, for example, bar chart, X and Y axis settings, you have a lot of documentation around what these features do, what you can achieve. So we have somebody who's revisiting that to make it a little bit more user friendly. And of course, if you find it helpful, please do so. Then, we know what to focus on. So that's something that Vizlib library documentation has been extended. So you see a lot of articles around the extensions. More will come, of course, as we speak. That will help you and your team getting enabled, getting faster, and of course, organize that out very, very much more well. So this is a focus point, but I agree this is not our strongest point. But again, this is part of growing up as a company. Beginning, it's a product and it's excitement, and more you realize, you need to make sure that you also have training, enablement, and of course, make it very, very slick to use beyond just the product, but also the whole experience. So thank you very much for that feedback. Cool. I think we're a little bit over time. We have all the questions here, so we will make sure to answer them. One last bit before you all disappear. We'll enjoy doing these webinars. We just want to make sure we do the right type of webinars for you. So what we've done is we had a healthcare webinar. I want to ask you, what kind of webinars do you want us to continue? Do you want us to have it more like on a single extension, on a product? Like show collaboration, more depth, show you how to around the sheet menu. Do you want us just to give, general updates very quickly on a high glance, or more importantly, use cases, real life examples? How do we solve, for example, perhaps even in combination with one of our customers? I'm sure some of them are volunteering here. So that's a little bit to have it much more practical so you can see how you can use it within your environment. Well, the last bit is, do you want to have it vertical specific, right? So, hey, a healthcare webinar, a financial services webinar, where you get typical examples, use cases, and products that apply to that particular industry. So, yeah, I'm going to give it another 5 seconds. I think we're already getting a very, very good idea of what you guys are interested in, but cool, nice. So around use cases, real life examples, and I think that's a very valid point, and we'll take that internally. So yeah, I'm sharing here the results with you. So with this, we're 10 minutes late. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. Go have a spin, download the extensions, check out what you think, and stay tuned. In 3-4 weeks, we will release the Vizlib collaboration piece in public, so you can then plug and play and start collaborating on your apps. Stay tuned with us. We're very, very excited. The team is working relentlessly with a happy smile on their face and creating these amazing products for you. So yeah, stay in touch, and if you're at Qonnections, please stop by. We have a lot of amazing stuff to give away. So if you're looking, actually, if you can look at my camera, as a funny point here, you can see that we have like small power banks here that you can use to charge your phone. So if you want one of these, come speak to us. We'll be able to, not only that, but many other marketing material that we are happy to share. We'll be able to hand out some of them to you. So yeah, speak to you soon. Any questions you have, give us a shout, and we very much look forward to hearing from you and to work with you and collaborate with you. Thank you very much, everybody. Speak to you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.